you for tuning in to MEM Watches. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscription button below. In conjunction to our Be the Positive Difference campaign, today we have a very special guest, YB Nurul Izzah Anwar. We'll be talking about everything positive. Stay tuned.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's just jump right into our topic, which is being the positive difference. So basically, being the positive difference is just encouraging people to focus more on the positivity instead of worrying so much with the problems, because sometimes problems can be overwhelming, right?
They can.
Yeah.
They can be very overwhelming, and they can arrest your thoughts and keep you in a state of inertia. So, well, you know, when I grew up, my father, I think, always urged us to become incorrigible optimists. People might not understand why, but that inner optimism, it's what keeps you going. And you need a lot of that because a lot of our dreams, our aspirations are built on hope. And having hope is such a powerful thing because it requires, it allows you to prosper and move forward. And one of the key determinants of hope is optimism. So I think, we are always asked to be thankful, grateful for whatever that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And I think when we sometimes worry too much, we forget to be thankful for the small miracles. I think, well, the term that was coined by many political activists is to be an idealist who's also pragmatic. So, you don't necessarily want to become a realist per se. You're always idealistic because you have certain ideals you hold on to. But at the same time, you want to be pragmatic because in life, there are certain achievements that can be met. There are certain challenges that you have to grapple with. So having that balance, in Islam, we always term it as awsatuha, the middle path. So being idealistic, wanting to stay true to your convictions, but at the same time, not losing sight of what's doable and what's not doable. I think that allows you to become more successful per se, right? And remember, I think God always measures you based on the best effort you put in, not necessarily the outcome. That's a difficult concept. Doesn't mean that we don't strive for the best outcome, but it's the best effort that we put in. Well, I think that you started just now by saying a lot of your campaign work involves the actual staffers themselves, that everyone is asked to plant a seed and see that seed grow into a plant with no fatalities. I think that's what we should be doing. Before you advocate positivity, I think you have to live it, you have to own it, and then it becomes a driving force. The individual impact and contribution. So you do need to nurture that positive vibe in any organization. Yeah, even externally. I mean, I think in the field of politics, this can be very hostile, can be very toxic at times. But, it also can be a force of good. And if more people feel that they can exact change by bringing up issues such as education, entrepreneurship for the young, for this to become sort of the barometer of success of the country's economy, you can certainly play a part, right? But if you don't approach, if you don't have the courage to spread, you don't make that, you don't initiate any effort, then you will not see any outcome. We might definitely fall halfway. There's always going to be times where we falter or we make mistakes, but that's how you learn, right? And I think that's why the first pathway to any success is to have that positivity and having that readiness to be the difference. I just came from last week from this terrible tragedy where a 15-year-old was killed instantly by a hard object that fell from the doing of someone who's completely irresponsible and just downright cruel. And how do you factor in positivity in that environment? But I think the decision is it has to start with us. What do we do when we're confronted by such a situation? Do we succumb and say, with such negativity, what do I do? We have to fight back, right? And that's a simple answer. You fight back with yourself, with your children, with your circle, with what you do. And sometimes people feel a bit frustrated because change is very incremental. Well, with a lot of humor.
With a lot of humor.
Yeah, I think I'm an expert, at making jokes whilst in prison. I think it's important because humor, it's not just humor for the sake of humor, it's like really, no one can control your mood except yourself. Really. You can be at the worst area or in the worst far-flung out situation, but if you are able to control your mind to just focus and appreciate that you have your loved ones with you, the things that matter with you, then it doesn't really matter where the externalities are. So, I think that's why the power of the mind is often underutilized, underestimated. I think it's also like, be also at peace with yourself, right? You have to be positive with yourself. You have to just sometimes, just pat yourself on the shoulder and it's okay.
You got this, you know?
Exactly, right? Because you don't do that
yourself,
enough. There's so much self-inflicted pain and self-inflicted disappointment, and sometimes you know what? That wasn't so bad after all. First I want to say that all these fairy tale movies are one of the worst developments to hit the future of our children, because you give them expectations that are sometimes unfulfilled. And I think that's why when you ask me the 3 wishes, I think that the key things I would ask for is the best future for my children, that they're cared for, that they know they're loved. And number 2, that I am fulfilled in the knowledge that I've done my best to exact change to the people I care about, to my community. And third, of course, to basically end life with that nurturing feeling that you're able to empower many others. So the first is, love for children, for them to know that their mother cares for them very much, and of course my parents. And number 2 is to basically understand that you have made an impact and you've done your best effort, and to be fulfilled in that knowledge. And the third is to empower others, because I can't do this alone.
I'm Nurul Izzah Anwar. Remember, be the positive difference.